skill will always trump class design. A lot of people are retarded, and they think that if they pick whatever is the flavor of the month meta class, that they're just going to be able to roll their face on their keyboard and be successful, and that's not true. If you get an S tier player playing a C tier class, he is 100% of the time going to out DPS, out tank, and out heal a C tier player playing an S tier class every time. That's just a fact. I gotta piss.
I am Razio.
As you can tell from the intro clip, if you were looking for me to tell you which classes are the best in the entire game to play right now, well, you're in for a disappointment. Now, in this day and age of the internet, it is commonplace to see creator after creator making tier lists telling you, what you should or shouldn't be playing. Now, don't get me wrong. These tier lists, in many cases, are mathematically accurate, and some classes are objectively better or worse in their design and current power in the game than others. However, I am of the view that this factor isn't as relevant as we are all led to believe. And in this video, I want to focus on a concept that I talked about, which you saw a clip of in the intro of the video. An S tier player and master of a B or C tier class will always do better than some meta dick rider C tier player that's playing an S tier class. Now, a large portion of players that play Flavor of the Month and constantly switch classes depending on what creators or websites release on their tier lists are usually at a disadvantage compared to dedicated players that genuinely enjoy their class. So, how does one become an S tier player of a class? Well, I'll tell you. First and foremost, you have to enjoy not only the class's play style, but it helps to enjoy the class fantasy of a particular class. And I know you call me a nerd for this, but get over it.
What are you gay?
And above all else, you have to be dedicated to being the best you can possibly be at said class, to become a master of the class, essentially. So, how does one actually do this? Well, I'll tell you once again. First, I will say that if you are new to WoW, or any MMORPG for that matter, because I've been saying this sort of thing about Final Fantasy XIV and all the other MMOs I've ever played for a long time, and I digress, and you're picking a class, I would say the first thing you have to do is know a few things. What class fantasy is aesthetically appealing to you? You need to know this because, let's be real, you're going to be looking at this character and its abilities and animations the entire time you're playing. So make sure it's the type of class you are aesthetically into, that you really enjoy. Number two, you need to know what play style you enjoy the most. Do you like up-in-your-face melee with super fast attacks and mobility, or would you prefer a slower, more lumbering, hard-hitting melee? Do you like ranged attacks with physical weapons like guns and bows, or, do you like lobbing shitloads of magic and spells at your opponents? Do you like damage over time spells and that sort of thing? Do you enjoy pet management and having minions? All of these questions are important for you to answer before you choose a class. Once you've done your research and you know which classes are advertising the type of playstyle that you think you'd be interested in, and you think you have all the answers to these questions, you can proceed to move forward. Now, after you've selected the class that you feel you will enjoy the most, try it out. Get a feel for how it plays, which takes time, and see if it is still appealing to you, after you've leveled a bunch of times, you've gotten to the mid game and even all the way up to end game, see if it still appeals to you. If it doesn't, then just go back to the previous questions and start again with a different class. If it does, then proceed to move forward. And this is where the aforementioned websites actually come in handy. Learn your rotation inside and out. Learn what stats on gear can maximize your performance that are best. Learn your best in slot lists and go for that gear. All of this information can be found on these sites like Wowhead and Icy Veins, and there's a bunch of others. They're not hard to find. Another huge piece of advice I would give is, even if the other specs in your chosen class aren't that appealing to you, Learn them just the same so that you're familiar with every single aspect of your class and how the class functions as a whole. Even if you never plan on playing those other specs, it's always nice to have it in your pocket. The most important aspect of this is that you enjoy the spec you choose and you know why you enjoy it. You'll know why you enjoy certain specs better if you try the other specs of the class you chose and they're just not really for you. That way, you're going to have motivation to keep getting better at the one you enjoy. If you don't like your play style, you probably won't care that much to improve it. The next thing you should absolutely do as well is to learn as much as you can about the boss fights in the raids and the dungeons and the content you want to do. Learn which talent combos are best, as it can vary between fights, like cleave versus single target, etc. And switch if you need to before the boss fights. If you know the boss fights, you're going to know what you need to bring into it. Learn to maximize uptime on the boss and the ads that you're supposed to target, which ones are priority targets, which ones need interrupts, and other crowd control you need to hit at what times. This is all super important, and your raid leaders, trust me, will love you if you already are on top of this. And now we come to one of the most vital steps of all, in my opinion. Keybinds, fucking keybinds. The fastest and most efficient way to become an S-tier player of a class is to know your rotation, have it key and mouse bound as efficiently as possible. No clicking at all unless, it's an ability you don't ever want to accidentally fat finger, such as, Bloodlust, and committing it all to muscle memory. This takes time and practice, but once you are able to do the majority of your rotation without staring purely at your action bars, you'll really start to see yourself pull ahead on whatever in-game meters you monitor and really start to shine, even if you're a class player's, kind of forgot about and slept on. There are plenty of fantastic MMO mice out there, by the way, that I would highly recommend that you would make your life so much easier. Hit me up anytime. You can hit me up in here in the comments or on one of my streams, and I'll be glad to recommend one to you. I'm not sponsored by any, but I have a bunch that I think are very, very high quality, good mice. Anyway, I digress. At any rate, I still stand by my traditional mindset of fuck the meta. Becoming an absolute master of your class and an S-tier player overall on a class you actually enjoy will have you in most cases outperforming a C-tier player, that's just one of the meta players that plays whatever is best every single time. And isn't playing something you enjoy the entire point of playing a video game in the first place? Like, I get that some people play the meta because they're in some bleeding edge world first raiding guild or something like that. But that is by far and away not the majority of World of Warcraft's player base. Take the steps that I've outlined in this video, and I think you'll be in for a far better time than the majority of those players that ride the wave of Flavor of the Month. I mean, you see them all the time, even on, streams where you can tell they just don't enjoy the class they're playing, but they're playing it because it's meta. Don't be that guy or gal. Just don't do it. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts and feelings on this matter. I'm always going to be a huge, cheerleader for fuck the meta. I hate how metas get formed, and I get that they'll always be a part of the game, but I think people will get far more use and enjoyment out of their games if they just play what they actually like, but not just play it. Don't be a Care Bear. Get good. Literally, get good. Become the best you can possibly be at a class, and you'll outshine so many of these Flavor of the Month rerollers. But anyway, guys, thanks for following along. Thanks for all the support I've had recently. If you like my content, please like and subscribe, and it really, really helps. If you don't, that's fine. Thumbs down it and tell me why you thumbs down it. And I'm sure I'll be expecting some sort of, insult or whatever. It's totally common. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday on Twitch and on YouTube simultaneously. And now that Season 2 of World of Warcraft's come out, I am streaming the raids I'm leading on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well, but I'm not as responsive on those because I'm raid leading and playing the game. Yeah, I just run an AOTC guild. It's not a bleeding edge guild or anything like that, but if you're interested and want to come hang out, more than welcome to. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot, and as always, my friends, keep it real.